our very first photo evidence that we ever captured. It was down in New Orleans years ago on Sabrina's Bachelorette, and we caught a ghost penis on camera.
A ghost penis?
It's literally a ghost penis.
How do you know it's a ghost penis?
I will show you. I'm going to come up to the screen. So,
I mean, that kind of looks like a dick, I'll be honest. All right, guys, thanks for joining me on this week's episode of the Ghost City podcast. I think we're doing it every 2 weeks. Yeah, every 2 weeks. So thank you for joining me on this bi-weekly episode of the Ghost City podcast. And today I'm joined by the hosts of the podcast. And I think I got this right. Is it Two Girls and a Ghost?
Two girls, one ghost.
All right, now I'm going to make you guys say this on air. Where did you get this name for this podcast?
Sabrina's sick mind.
Right here.
I believe it.
We came up with like 50 different names where it's like in the dark, bad sleepover, like just all that sort of stuff. And then Sabrina jokingly was like, why don't we name it Two Girls, One Ghost? And I was like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
SEO. People are going to search for one thing and get us instead.
Inspired by a prolific film, if you can call it that, from the 2000s.
Yeah. Early internet days.
Yeah, don't look up the original. Just look up Two Girls, One Ghost instead.
Yeah, I was actually asking Paul before we got on air. I was like, hey, Paul, did you ever see that video? He's like, oh my God, unfortunately, I did see it. And I unfortunately saw it one time too. So hopefully they find you guys and not the ones.
Exactly. It's one of those things where you hear the name and you're either like, ew, that's absolutely disgusting, but you can't forget it. Or you're like, haha, that's hilarious. I'm never going to forget that. So either way, we're leaving a lasting impression on people right away.
More than your name, I'm kind of curious to see if you guys put that into logo form.
We take out like the Ouija board emblems and just put like a poop in a cup.
There you go. All right. Well, Sabrina and Corinne, thank you guys both for joining me today. Now, you know, what we kind of agreed upon, you know, hey, what do we want to talk about today? And we're like, hey, you know, what about this whole celebrity ghost thing? Because, you know, everybody likes talking about celebrity ghosts. And I figured, okay, we can do that. But before we do that, I'm kind of curious about you two as just human beings. Like, you know, what's your story? How did you end up doing a podcast about ghosts and hauntings and all this stuff? I know we talked a little bit before we hopped on air and you guys said some pretty crazy stuff about UFOs and deserts and ghosts and all this other stuff. So how did you end up in those chairs?
How do you feel about aliens?
I don't think they're real.
Yeah, Corinne and I both grew up in haunted houses. Corinne grew up in Vermont. I grew up in New Jersey, but we didn't meet each other until 2011. We met in college, and it was like the first week of school. We were in a theater class together, and you know, typical first day of class, they're like, hey, everyone go around and say one fun fact about yourself. I said something really, really fun that I can wiggle my ears. And so boring.
It's a safe answer.
So safe.
You were trying to make friends.
I was a not interesting person because I didn't come into my brain until I was like 29. But anyway.
I clearly wasn't interested in making friends. I got risky. I said, I grew up in a haunted house.
And then you made a friend anyway.
And then Sabrina was like, holy shit.
You're my friend now.
Yeah, you and I. Your chair. So we switched chairs today and Sabrina's chair is so squeaky. So I'm getting distracted because it keeps squeaking behind me. But yeah, anyway. So like long story short, we met through this icebreaker where I announced my hauntings. And then that kind of was like a staple part of mine and Sabrina's relationship. It was...
I called Corinne if I felt like a weird presence in my dorm room, and she would come over with like a full briefcase of cleansing equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. We were each other's go-to for all things spooky and like sharing ghost stories. And the campus that we went to school, we went to Loyola Marymount University out in Los Angeles. It was super haunted and we had so many different things happen to us. Mm-hmm. Friends became believers from that university. And then post-grad, you know, we were also early podcast listeners. And so not only were we each other's go-to for the paranormal conversations, but also discussing different podcasts that we were listening to. And then a couple of years post-grad, I've moved away from LA back to New England where I was from. And Sabrina just joked like, what if we create a podcast about ghosts? Because now who am I going to talk podcasting ghosts with other than you?
How do we stay in touch and make sure we don't, you know, as people grow older and grow, like move apart, I didn't want us to grow apart. So
it was said kind of as a joke.
As a lot of things, apparently, that I do start out as a joke and then stick.
Yeah.
I mean, Ghost City Tours started out as a joke, and here we are.
Really?
Did it?
Yeah, totally. Like, do I got to tell this story again? I'll tell it really quick. Moved to Savannah, met two guys. They were great ghost tour guides, but they're horrible business people. All I've done my entire life is build businesses. And I said, hey, I'll start a ghost tour company. You guys work for me. We'll make a lot of money. The second month in business, I really wasn't even trying. And we did, between $90,000 and $100,000 in sales the second month. And I was like, well, there might be something to this. And here
Definitely.
we are today. Now if we did $100,000 in a month, I'd slip my wrists. But, it really just started as a joke. Like, all right, I'll help you guys. And here we are. So the
That's
best,
awesome.
the best
Isn't
things
it
in
wild?
life start
It's
as
like
jokes. Well, I noticed
a lot of business in the dead.
there is. And the good thing about being in the business of the dead is you will never run out of business. Well,
Right.
It's
People are
true.
always dying.
Yeah. Everyone's like, do you think you'll ever run out of ghost stories? And we're like, no. Like,
Do you think people will stop dying? No.
I do sometimes wonder if people will stop taking ghost tours at some point, though. That's always like the thing in the back of my head. I'm like, all right, how long am I going to be able to ride this wave? But we'll see. Maybe, in the future.
I feel like, yeah, it's ingrained in people. Like if you look at cultures and just like the history of storytelling, like oral, even before written stories, like ghost stories and talking about different beings, like it's always been such a huge part of just being a human. So I don't think people ever become
No. And also,
disinterested in it.
we live right next to Salem, Massachusetts, and we're recording this in the height of spooky season. It becomes it becomes Halloween town in September and October.
But it's like Disney World version. It is
Yeah.
body to body. Every year it gets worse and worse in Salem.
But it just
For
proves
October,
how many
so many more people come.
It just proves how many people love that environment, that atmosphere,
Yeah.
that type of
We like to be
spooky
scared.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think a big part of it is, at the end of the day, human beings, we're social creatures, right? And, it might be hard for us to visualize it now, but it wasn't that long ago that, and we actually just had a guest last week on the podcast where we talked about the cultural importance of ghost stories and how the idea of coming together as a tribe or as families, like especially right before winter, Halloween, and telling these stories, it's part of why human beings are the way they are today. And it might not necessarily always have been ghost stories, but the idea of humans being creatures of stories and passing down these stories, passing down these knowledge, it's critical to who we are. And I think for some people that might be part of why they like the spooky season, the ghost stories and the ghost tours and all this stuff, because in today's world where everything's technology and TikTok and all these things, it's nice to be a part of a group every once in a while where you just get together and hear stories or tell stories. Even if you don't understand why you're drawn to it, I think it's very core to who we are as people. So I think that's part of it. So Salem, I maybe this is a dumb question, but why did you guys choose Salem as your headquarters or whatever you want to call it?
Well, so when Corinne and I started the podcast back in 2017, it was right after Corinne moved to Boston to go to grad school. So you naturally were over here near the Salem North Shore of Boston area. And
you would visit every year.
Yeah.
In October, and we would go to Salem.
I lived in LA for,
Up
pretty
until
much
last
7
year.
of the 8 years that we've been doing the podcast.
Mhm.
And then last year, I was like, I love Boston. I love you. I love our podcast. So I moved across country and I followed Corinne. I just do whatever she does.
It's all your fault, Corinne.
Yeah.
Well, is it more that you love Boston or that you hated California?
Oh, me?
Nah.
Or both of us?
Or Sabrina?
Sabrina, you moved cross country.
Oh, I mean, it's not that I hated California. I knew that I didn't want to live there forever. I mean, I grew up on the East Coast and I think I always knew I wanted to come back this way, but I didn't want to live where I grew up.
Fair enough.
And I think Boston is just like, Boston
Even though she grew up in Princeton, New Jersey, it's like the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah, it is. And I do love it, but I think I wanted something a little bit different. And Boston feels very European and like,
it's old. There's so much history.
There's a lot of ghosts.
There's so many graves and dead people and haunted places.
You get
and haunted apartments. Like, what a better what could be better than just moving across country and getting haunted, which is basically exactly what happened.
You can write off your home expense if it's haunted when you do a paranormal podcast, right?
That's why I have a huge reptile sanctuary on my property. True story.
I was just going to say, is that true? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's true. So, you guys you said that you're podcasting today in a haunted location. So is this like is this where you guys live, or is this some other building? Like where?
So we're in my house, which is haunted, and also Sabrina's house. Also
well,
haunted.
I think Corinne is haunted. And then I guess I've never lived anywhere that hasn't
been. Well, I lived in one apartment ever that hasn't been haunted. Everywhere else has been.
Yeah. But then I would say that, yes, Corinne and this house have some paranormal activity, but it's more that our podcast, it started out as a joke that we were the most haunted podcast in America. And then it's slowly, or very, very, very quickly realized it was not a joke, because multiple people who listen to our podcast, like countless numbers of people, will listen to our podcast and have paranormal encounters. So we joke that it's our ghost, Sven, a name that one of our listeners actually gave to our spirit, is visiting our listeners.
He's a Swedish ghost.
Yeah,
yes.
Apparently.
All right.
And he does haunt a lot of people. It is so fascinating, though, because sometimes we'll do an episode and we'll have no idea that it's going to be an episode that afflicts so many people. And then we'll just be flooded with emails right after that of people being like, I heard an EVP, or this happened to me, or I got in 5 car crashes after this. Like, it's so crazy because we don't always experience stuff here, or like when we're recording it.
Well, you know what? What I found interesting, like here at Ghost City Tours, like, across the country, we probably have 600 employees, something like that. But here in Covington, we probably have, at the most, we've had like 60, here where we are right outside of New Orleans. And I think what it is just talking about ghosts, just in general. Like the more you talk about it, the more that whatever that connection is you have to them and where they are, it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So I always make jokes with my employees when they first come to work, like, hey, you might not believe in ghosts now, but give it a few months. You're going to start to see some things happen, and maybe some things will start happening at your house. And it's because we're talking about them all day long, every day.
Yeah.
And it almost adds fuel to the fire.
That you hire people that don't believe in spirits.
Yeah. Paul back there behind the screen, he doesn't believe in ghosts at all. The other day, he actually told me that.
Yet.
Yeah. He doesn't. Yeah. Paul's only been here a few weeks. I mean, the other day, he actually spit on me. And he said, "You are so stupid, Tim, for not believing in ghosts." And I was like, Paul, he's back there laughing. He really didn't spit on me. But no.
Hey, you did earlier say that you wanted people to like push back.
Yeah.
So
Paul's the pioneer.
You're giving Paul permission to spit on you now.
Ugh, Paul, like he's back there laughing. He's like, yeah. He's like, yes. I don't mind when people don't believe in ghosts, and that's okay. I will hire somebody who does not believe in ghosts just as quickly as I believe in somebody that will. Now when it comes to being a tour guide, I have preferences. I've always used the expression that it's almost like a preacher that doesn't believe in God, and that's like a tour guide who doesn't believe in ghosts. It's really hard to get up in front of a group of people and say these things, knowing that in your head, you really don't believe it.
Right.
So the guides, I prefer that they believe in ghosts, but people here in the office, I'll be honest, most people that we've hired over the years do not believe in ghosts.
Wow.
Which is even more weird because we're right outside of New Orleans, right? Like
I know that shocks me.
We have a bunch of episodes of our podcast that are now known as the most haunted episodes. So if any of your employees do want to get haunted, we'll send the list.
I always tell them, like, just come out to my house, because I live in a very haunted house as well. But then I realized, as the CEO of this company, I can't go around telling my employees to come hang out at my house. You guys want to come spend the night? Like, it's
come to my house. After dark.
Yeah, exactly.
When activity really ramps up.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. I can't do that. Well,
it is interesting. And like Sabrina and I have a lot of emails and listeners say like, oh, I'm not sure I believe in ghosts, or I'm a skeptic. And then they'll tell us some of the most horrifying experiences that have happened to them. So it's kind of confused us a little bit, where it's like, are you truly a skeptic? Are you, or like, are you just
wanting there to be a rational reason because what you experienced was so scary?
Yeah.
That's a good question. What do you guys think it is?
Oh, well, we fully believe.
I mean, we obviously believe in the paranormal, but yeah, I usually err on the side of like, people are just scared. And like the more that they don't believe, that what they happened or that what happened to them is real, the less likely maybe in their minds that it will happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Or people, I just feel like sometimes like we're so convinced that people are known to be bad witnesses, right? And so you go into your own mind and you start to question like, well, did that actually happen? Or was I exaggerating that? Or did I make that part up? Was I actually dreaming? So I feel like sometimes we end up
gaslighting ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that sometimes happens. No, I think you're probably right. I mean, I'm certain that that's a part of it. The people that I've talked to that kind of like what you just described, like they're describing something that happens like in their house every other day, like, oh, there's this shadow that walks through my living room every other day, but I don't believe in ghosts. And you kind of look at them quizzically, like, are you fucking stupid? Like, what? You're literally looking at one every day.
Yeah. And, like explain it then. Yeah. What is that?
But the ones that I've talked to, and this is not a blanket statement, but they were all very religious people, who, and I love religious people. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. But that's the connection that I've been able to make with people like that. I'm sure that's just one variation of those, deniers. But for me, it's always been that. It's almost like they're afraid to admit that there might be something other than heaven or hell or something, and somehow they might end up there. I don't know what that is, but
yeah, and like, we've been doing this for 8 years and we're never going to pretend that we're experts or know what's going on. I mean, the supernatural is unknown because we don't have answers. But, there's so many different hypotheses we've had over the years where it's like, are ghosts really a deceased form of someone? Or is it like glitches in timelines and you're getting glimpses into the past or the future, like there's just so many different iterations of hauntings that we've heard about that I feel like we're further from understanding it than we thought we were before we started the podcast.
Right. Yeah. We definitely had some tunnel vision with what we thought a ghost was.
Yeah.
8+ years ago.
So, I get this question all the time, just because of the company that I run. I always just tell people, I don't know what any of this is. I just know weird shit happens and we're able to document it. And, but over the years, I guess when I first started out on my little ghost adventure, I thought it was, oh God, is that copyrighted? Ghost adventure? I don't know. Fuck it. When I started out on my little ghost journey, I just assumed it was, like the soul or whatever of somebody who's dead. But as I've got older and my mind, has kind of, I try to get smarter all the time and I try to learn stuff. And, I try to, one of my favorite things is coming up with ideas and then, running with them, how far I can get. And now that AI has come out, I can take some of these ideas even further. So I've had this crazy idea that I've been working on for a couple of years that, consciousness, it instead of, you're born and you have a brain and therefore you're conscious, I've been working on this theory that your brain is simply the receiver of consciousness, and consciousness actually exists as a field in the universe, and consciousness is the main field in the universe. And consciousness drives everything from evolution to just everything, in this theory, like consciousness would be the driving force behind evolution. Consciousness wants to survive, therefore it manipulates things to make sure it survives. Anyways, without going down that huge rabbit hole, like the idea would be like, you have consciousness, your brain is receiving it, but when your brain stops to function, that doesn't mean that the consciousness disappears forever. It just, your brain stops receiving it. Therefore, it's like your consciousness just goes back into the universal consciousness. And, every once in a while, you're able to get peeks into that. And maybe that's what ghosts are. So I don't know. I am probably certainly completely wrong, but it's fun to think about.
That's definitely an interesting theory.
Maybe nothing's wrong. Maybe everything is right. Like, how do we know what's happening?
Right.
And maybe it's not one thing. Maybe it's everything.
Well, if you could figure it out, you would certainly be a celebrity.
Or you'd be ostracized and like sent to sent to the stake.
Oh my God, I was trying to segue.
But yes, Tim, we would be celebrities.
You would.
Celebrities with ghost stories.
You would be the people that figured out it all. Well, what does the future hold for you guys? Are you guys going to keep doing this podcast for the foreseeable future? Are you guys working on any other projects, or what do you got going on?
We'll do this beyond life. My dream is to die one day and still podcast as a ghost. I don't know a lot, but I know for certain I will be a fantastic ghost.
Why do you say that?
Sabrina has lots of big plans, and we've had a lot of inspiration for like what Sabrina would do as a dead person. But yeah, no, it has been a thing where like we have no plans to stop podcasting. We're having a lot of fun doing this. And as Sabrina mentioned earlier, like she just moved out here over the past year. So one thing that we've started doing, because now that we're in the same state as each other, is actually going and doing overnight investigations and communing with the dead. Because for so long we were behind microphones. We'd do, ghost tours here and there when we'd see each other, or just like watch documentaries and chat about it. Yeah. But we weren't like live and in the action. Yeah. And now we've started doing that more, and it's been really fun. And we've got a lot of different things we want to do with Two Girls One Ghost, and they all involve the paranormal. So
exactly. And then we do have another show that just came out called Crimes Of, which is a Pave Studios show. And
a pivot away from the paranormal for a moment to talk
about a little bit
the things that happen before people start haunting.
But then we are doing
murdering each other.
But then we are doing a season that's like Crimes of the Paranormal. So we still
find a way,
finding a way to talk about the dead.
So when you guys say that you're doing, one, I just sounded like I just breezed through all over that and ignored it. That's not what I did. That sounds very interesting.
Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Go piece by piece, word by word. I want to hear exactly what you feel about every single thing we just said.
Oh, goodness. No, what I really wanted to go back and ask you about the ghost hunts. That's what I was like, oh shit, like true crime, cool. Like, so when you say that you're doing those, is it just like the two of you and some friends going to a haunted place and seeing what happens? Are you guys inviting the public in? Like, what are you doing?
We've done a couple different iterations. The very first one we ever did was actually, we investigated the Conjuring House in Rhode Island with we were shocked that they agreed to come do this with us. We like cold called
because they are paranormal celebrities.
Yeah. Greg and Dana Newkirk.
We sent many emails to every single email that was on there listed on their website asking like, hey, do you want to have a sleepover with us at the Conjuring House? You don't know who we are, but we know who you are. Yeah. And they said yes. So that was our first investigation.
Which I'm glad we did, because we really didn't know what we were doing. And there is and still is some hesitation, or there was and is still some hesitation of going into places that are so known to be paranormally active. Like, what are we opening ourselves up to? And it was really nice to have Greg and Dana there, who are professionals in the field, who have done so many investigations, to kind of show us the ropes of like how to set intentions, how to make sure you don't bring anything home with you. And then we've kind of carried that into future investigations, which, we've done with some friends. A lot of them we've done with Ash and Elena from Morbid podcast. And then
a cool one that we got to do was it was the two of us and then another woman who goes by Becky Galentine, or My Bloody Galentine on social media. And we were the first group to ever be allowed to investigate the Witchboard Museum in Salem, which has just got hundreds and hundreds of Ouija boards from this one man's collection. And that one was really fascinating and cool and a little scary.
Yeah, I know that guy. That guy, I think he's coming to the Gettysburg
John.
store here soon, one of our stores shortly. Well, Ghost City tours, we used to do ghost hunts all over the country. What we'd do is we'd go rent all these famous haunted locations and then invite the public to buy tickets and join us. I don't know if you guys would be interested in maybe helping out with that at some point, because we're bringing those back. Actually, I've never announced this publicly. Yeah. Okay. So Ghost City tours, we're actually bringing back our nationwide ghost hunt. So in the past, we used to rent out haunted locations like, Mansfield Reformatory, like where they filmed Shawshank Redemption. I'd rent out the whole fucking prison for a couple of nights in a row, or back when Bobby Mackey's existed. I've probably spent 2 months of my life at Bobby Mackey's, 3 days here, 2 days there. St. Augustine Lighthouse up there near you guys. Like we've done, Rolling Hills a couple of times. We've done Eastern State. We've done, you name it, we've been there, and people would buy tickets and they would fly in from all over the country and do these ghost hunts with us. The problem was back then I was the only one doing it. I had a couple guys that would tag along with me, but it got to the point, I was like 36 years old, which is ancient, by the way. And it was like, my body can't do this anymore, because I was on the road 25 weeks out of the year doing these ghost hunts. So I just stopped doing them. But now that I have all these employees all over the country, and then I meet people like you, I'm like,
hire us.
I wonder if they
we'll
would
be your employees for a week.
I feel like you're sprinkling in We're gonna. This is recorded, so you're committed now.
Yeah.
To what you just promised us, which was getting to go.
Yeah, I think that I'd love to have people on board that help. I mean, if you're gonna work for me, you actually got to work. Like,
you better work, bitch.
if it's doing a paranormal investigation, like
yes. Essentially what it is that we're always looking for good people who, because let's say like take Mansfield Reformatory, for example, or Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which is one of my favorite places ever. Let's say we have, 80 people show up, we'll divide them up into groups and like they have, my people with them. So you'll go around with them all night long and get to do paranormal investigations. And the cool thing about this is usually by midnight, even though they all say they're going to make it until 5 a.m, by midnight, like 2/3 of them are already gone. So we end up with this huge prison by ourselves, or wherever it is that we are.
This sounds so fun.
What's interesting is we've never made it till morning any place that we've been, because for some reason, the houses everywhere we've ever gone goes silent around like 3 a.m., which is when you would think everything would start. But from like 3 to 4 or 3 to 4:30, it's just like, okay, we're done. It's time to rest. And we're like, all right. So by 4:30, we pack it out.
Yeah.
Well, what we need to do is we need to find, because you guys are up near Salem. So what we need to do is I'll try to find a place. And if you guys have any suggestions that I could rent out for a couple nights.
We have a wish list. All right. So we will be in touch.
With our stamina and your resources. We will succeed.
Well, I am so curious because clearly you've been to so many places. You also have a company that runs tours in so many infamously haunted places. Is there a place in the world, or even if we want to narrow it down to the US, like that you have been yourself that you're like, this place is the most haunted, most chilling place? Yeah.
I don't even have to think about it. It's called Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. It's in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee. It's about 45 minutes west of Chattanooga. I have never, you hear about all these big time locations on TV. Like, as soon as I said Bobby Mackey's, I saw both your faces, right? Like it has that reputation. I am telling you, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is the most haunted place I have ever been to by far.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah, it's an abandoned hospital. So years ago, I actually used to manage it. Funny enough, we were doing these ghost hunts that I just told you about, and the day before my group was supposed to show up, we had 100 people coming into this hospital. The day before, the owner calls me and says, "You're going to have to cancel your group because the caretakers just vanished in the middle of the night, and we have nobody to." And my response, literally, I think I might have said, "Fuck that. I'm fucking bringing my group. What do you mean I can't bring my group?" So I was living in Savannah, Georgia at the time. I drove from Savannah, Georgia all the way there overnight and met with that guy. It was at a Burger King. No, it was at a Burger King parking lot. And I was like, I want those keys. I am not letting these people not go on this ghost hunt. Long story short, I guess I impressed him or scared him. I don't know which one it was. to the point where he said, do you just want to manage the hospital? And I said, yes. So I had free access to that hospital for probably 2 years until the guy lost it to the IRS. But I mean, everything you can think of, just shadow people. I mean, it got to the point where you'd walk in and, you guys have never heard of it before, but so you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but you'd walk in, make a left, 2 doors down. I would always tell people walking in, like, listen, there's going to be a woman that tells me hi. Every time she'd be like, "Hi, Tim." Every time. And I'd be like, "Hi." I never knew her name, but, I mean, I
have chills in my toes.
This is wild.
Yeah, just look at it. It's called Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And
I'm gonna look it up.
Oh my God.
I mean, shadow figures just nonstop. I even had a lady break her leg on one of the ghost hunts because she became so frightened. It was a woman who came with her daughter and a couple of her daughter's friends. And they had went to the 3rd floor of the hospital. And, I'm kind of at the nurse's station on the middle floor. I'm taking a break. It's like, all right, I've been doing this all night. I got to take a break. They go upstairs. All of a sudden we hear screaming and thud and somebody falling down the stairs. She fell and broke her leg. They all described the exact same thing, which is they went up to the top of the stairs, and as soon as they got up there, they made a left to go down the hallway towards the surgery suites, and they all saw a semi-translucent, transparent woman in a hospital gown, skinny, black hair, walk across the hallway, and about halfway she took like 2 steps and looked directly at them. And that's when they all freaked the fuck out and took off running. She broke her leg.
Oh,
the mom broke her leg. I mean, I have on video, you know, friends of mine literally being picked up, you know, not like dramatically like in, you know, WWF or something, but, you know, they're all 2 or 3 inches off the floor freaking out, like, you know, being shoved up against the wall. I mean, scratches, you name it, this place has it. And I've never experienced anything like that before.
I will say, I think one thing that I've always been jealous of people who run ghost tours in different cities is how much paranormal evidence and like photos and videos you have collected from people who have gone on the tours. Like that is maybe my favorite thing to discuss in our podcast is evidence. And I'm like, how much evidence have you guys collected?
Substantial, like especially those ghost hunts that I talked about that we invite the public in. So I don't know that I want to do it the same way again, because quite honestly, I almost just fucking died. We provided the equipment to everybody who showed up for those ghost hunts. So whether it was, you know, 20 people at Bobby Mackey's or 150 people at Mansfield Reformatory, we supplied all the equipment. We would literally travel with a U-Haul trailer attached to the back of my SUV that was filled with Pelican cases of full spectrum cameras and voice recorders and Mel meters and thermal cameras. And I mean, you name it, we had it. But what we would do is we'd pass that equipment out to everybody. And then at the end of the night, we'd collect all the equipment back. You know, everything was numbered. So I knew like group A had this one and this one. We would review all that evidence for them and then give it back to them. Like, hey, here's what you captured that night. And I mean, honest to God, I could tens of thousands of hours. And if I'm being honest, some of it I know that we've never went through. You know, a buddy of mine, his name is Chris Allen. He's a good friend of mine. He owns a company called Haunted Savannah Tours, actually. I mean, him and we would spend, weeks just poring over this stuff to the point. I mean, and if you guys have done this, you know what I'm talking about, like where your eyes are just like, I cannot look at this goddamn screen one more second. But in that moment, something will happen. Then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like, did you see that? And all of a sudden you're like, you know, you're good for a couple more hours. But yeah, we got to talk about celebrity ghosts. But
Wait, okay. But before that, I have one more question about all the evidence. Do you have any ideas for like what to do with it?
Give it to us?
Or like, no, like you're a business-minded guy. Like what people would kill for this access.
I mean, I don't do anything with it. I am like the most non-attention seeking guy ever. Like I know like, hey, Tim, you're doing a fucking podcast and like all this stuff. It's fun to me, but like I don't want to be known for anything. Like I don't want to have anybody give me any real attention. Like I own the largest tour company in the world and most people don't know who I am. Like the reptile facility that I was telling you about, it's one of the largest reptile facilities in the entire world that deals with critically endangered reptiles, you know, breeding them and keeping them alive. I just don't care to be
okay,
known,
well, we have a pitch for you.
I bet you do.
You have a podcast now. You should do like episodes once in a while that are like reviewing evidence from either from tours or investigations.
We could. Or
I am volunteering to like comb through footage.
I bet you already have a ton.
Like okay, selfishly, I just want to see it. So can you do it for us?
Yeah, I'm certain I can send you guys some stuff for sure. No problem.
That would be amazing. And then we'll all collect stuff together, more evidence when we do an investigation.
Yeah, we should absolutely put together. I can't promise that I will be there personally, but we'll see. But we'll try to like, you know, do something up your way, like, you know, New England, Salem. Like, let's try to find some really haunted location and rent it out, and let's do some cool shit there for a few days. That'd be a lot of fun.
Sounds cool. We're down.
And it's gonna happen too. Paul's back there like, oh God, Tim, shut up, because like I said it, now I have to do it.
Paul doesn't believe in ghosts, so he's got a lot of reason to come to Salem to see if it is real or not, right?
That's true. So like when you guys are, you know, doing your ghost hunting and stuff, you know, you're talking about evidence and stuff, like what is the most powerful piece of evidence maybe that you've collected, or what is it that you like to focus on? Like, for example, me, I love EVPs, like, because to me, that's like a good EVP where they're interacting with you and they're answering questions, or they're interacting with you. To me, that's almost the holy grail, because I've never captured a full-bodied apparition on a camera. I've got shadow people, but never like a full-bodied one. So for you guys, like what is the most meaningful type of evidence for you guys?
Oh man, there's so many that come to my mind right away. And I do need to just real quick give a shout out to this one listener. His name is Warren. And we just shared the evidence that they collected on It's Encounters 301. It is maybe the most convincing piece of evidence we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's from
the Winchester Mystery House.
The Winchester Mystery House. And it's a live photo. And you fully see, like, from the top to the bottom of a dress, like some of it's pretty translucent, but you can see like the bottom of like a frilly dress.
It's like a lace dress, and you can see the movement of the dress as it like drags across the ground.
And it has an EVP with it. So it's like both.
You also see the shadow that this like spirit is casting on the window as she crosses the frame and heads towards the front of the door. And then you hear an older woman's voice say, "I miss this house." It is,
we were blown away.
That is everything. But I think in our own investigations, I think the kind of what you were saying, Tim, like the most fun moments are when you have that back and forth banter and you feel like you're actually connecting, and it's like you and the spirit or spirits, and you're having a real conversation and like figuring each other out. But I think one of my favorite pieces of evidence was our very first photo evidence that we ever captured.
It's so appropriate to our podcast name too.
It was down in New Orleans years ago on Sabrina's Bachelorette. And we caught a ghost penis on camera.
A ghost penis?
It's literally a ghost penis. We were at Lafitte's blacksmith shop.
How do you know it's a ghost penis?
Oh, do you know what a penis looks like?
Let's show you. I'll pull
up
it
a picture of a penis and then pull up a picture of our penis.
We'll do a side by side.
I know what a
I
have
what a
an penis
album
looks
in my
like.
phone that's literally called Ghost Peen.
No, but we were on like a walking ghost tour in New Orleans. You know, it's a classic. Like you're hearing about all the horrific things that happened in these like mass murders. You're hearing about the vampires, the pirates, all that sort of stuff. And so one of the stops was at Jean Lafitte's blacksmith shop bar, and it like barely even has electricity in there. Like it is very old, right? And so you remember that there's like the stone fireplace that's right in the middle. And it said like you can see through both sides. So there's like seating on both sides of the fireplace, so you can see right through it. But it said that people who take pictures will capture the face of Jean Lafitte just kind of chilling in this fireplace. So everyone's encouraged to go take photos.
So I will show you. I'm going to come up to the screen.
So it's like even in the afterlife, they're still sending you dick pics.
Yeah.
So basically this photo was taken. This is Corinne and my friend Scout.
Okay.
This is taken at the same time the next photo was taken, but this one's alive.
All right.
And you don't see anything there.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
But then this photo taken like at the exact same time, you zoom in.
I mean, that kind of looks like a dick. I'll be honest.
Right.
Yeah. It does. It looks like a dick. So we're like, of course, we're on a bachelorette trip.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch of girls, and then we just get flashed.
It was the first time we were ever written up in a tabloid, and Corinne is quoted saying,
"That definitely looked like a penis."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of
Something
looks like a
that.
penis, or maybe it's like a butt plug, right? Like,
Either way, it's definitely phallic in shape, and
I just said butt plug.
I think it's
on
hilarious
podcast.
that
Chris is going to lose her shit. She's going to be like, "You said what?" I'm kidding. We love her. No, that kind of looks like a penis. I've never had a woman ghost flash me though. So now I feel like what the
It's
hell?
a lot harder in Victorian garb. There's lots of layers.
Also, who's more likely to flash, a woman or a man? And I feel like it's a man. So
Yeah, when you hear flasher, no one's ever thinking woman.
yeah.
It's probably 50-50 in New Orleans, let's be honest.
That's true. Well, that's true. In New Orleans, you're right.
Yeah, but that was like a fun piece of evidence that, you know, it wasn't when we were like truly trying to go on an investigation, but we were like, is it not? Whatever. It's just really fun.
Yeah.
And I think since then we've captured like what undoubtedly is some paranormal activity, including some photos and whatnot that we do share with our listeners either on episodes or through some of the live shows. We've gone on tour, and we have a live show that by the time I think this episode's out, we'll have already done it. But
Yay. Well, it sounds like you guys are little paranormal entrepreneurs.
We call ourselves baby witches because we're dipping our toes, but we're not going to pretend we're professional in any way.
I still don't think I'm a professional. So I think that's the best place to be because it allows you to have fun with it. You don't take yourself too seriously. But at the same time, you're going to have fun and do some cool things. You're going to accomplish some things and be proud of what you're doing. And I think at the end of the day, that's what really matters with these kind of things, right? I think so. All right. So let's get back to what we were supposed to be talking about all this time, which is celebrity ghost stories. Now, both of you have lived in Los Angeles. Is that correct? So when you guys were in Los Angeles, so Los Angeles is one of those weird cities. It seems like they get, 30 new ghosts every day if crime statistics are right. But I guess Los Angeles, Hollywood, I know it's not exactly the same thing, but a lot of people kind of, it's in the same area, right? And there's this huge fascination with celebrity ghost stories, whether it's, like Marilyn Monroe, I almost said Marilyn Manson, Marilyn Monroe, or my personal favorite, Michael Jackson. I really want to meet Michael Jackson's ghost. I want him to or whatever he does.
Oh, yeah. Although I will say, based on what we know of celebrities who've crossed over, it seems you're most likely to encounter Elvis.
Yes. There's literally countless people who have had near-death experiences who see Elvis greeting them, which I think is hilarious.
I almost want to have a near-death experience just to see if that's true or not.
Right?
Paul, come
that's
choke
what you
me.
say. You're expecting Jesus or something. It's Elvis.
Right.
Hey, baby.
Wait, what was that?
I
do your impression again.
No. You'll just have to listen back.
Elvis was here. Did you catch that EVP?
Yeah. Hey, baby. No, I didn't think it was an EVP. I'm like, you guys are really good at voice manipulation. So I don't even know what to say about that. There's always a follow-up, right? Well, what about this? I don't even know what that. Why do you think people are seeing Elvis? That's so bizarre. Because there's other people that think he's still alive.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I love those conspiracies. And the photos are very convincing.
About Elvis being
wild.
still alive? I hope Elvis is still alive. I became an Elvis fan in my mid-20s. I really like Elvis. That'd be cool.
His story is pretty tragic.
I refuse to believe the guy died on a toilet. That just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I can't see that. He's the king. Well, so why do you think people are so interested in celebrity ghost stories in particular? Because I think
maybe the same reason people are interested in celebrities, right? It's just they feel like these untouchable figures, and then to hear that they're also believing in or experiencing something that is so maybe thought to be faux pas. I think that's part of the reason why Post Malone and his experience with the Dybbuk box and the plane crash or the car crash or whatever he was involved in. People are just so infatuated with this because this is someone who so many people idolize, and he's now giving credit to something that so many people maybe have spent their lives getting made fun of or told that's not true.
Right.
And then I think when it goes to spirits crossing over and celebrities now becoming spirits, I don't know if people in my mind, I obviously can't speak for other people, but I feel my own fascination is oh, maybe I'll actually have a chance of meeting them now.
Maybe.
I feel there's a greater chance of meeting a dead celebrity than a real one.
Right.
I'll be honest, there's only 2 celebrities that I'd ever care to meet.
Who?
So I'm a huge Tool fan, the band Tool. I've always wanted to meet Maynard from Tool, or actually any of the guys from Tool. And the second celebrity I always wanted to meet was actually Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller. I know they're not the typical celebrities people would want to meet. I'm not trying to meet hot women celebrities or whatever. But they're still both alive. I tend to think celebrities are mostly horrible people.
How many celebrities have you met?
None. And that's why I could be, that's why I could be completely wrong. You can't take half of what I say seriously. I'm just saying stuff. But the general perception of celebrities, right? These attention. And by the way, if you are a celebrity listening to this one, I don't know how the hell you found us, but thanks for joining us. I literally don't mean all of them, because there's obviously a lot of celebrities out there that are genuinely really great people and stuff like that. But when you think of the typical celebrity, attention seeking, it's all about me, all this stuff, that actually might explain why you see so many people have experiences with celebrity ghosts, because even in the afterlife, they're still like me, 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 me. Maybe.
Or to tie it back to one of the things you said in the very beginning of this episode, is that so many people giving mind and power to an energy that it's unable to even move on because it's constantly being conjured and called.
That is what I feel like is happening with Marilyn Monroe. And we actually did a deep dive into Marilyn a couple years ago with another podcast. And it's so sad because even in her life, people were projecting this persona onto Marilyn Monroe. And she had to I really do believe she became what people wanted her to be, which I think is how she became so iconic in the way that she is. Like, she knew how to fit the mold of what other people wanted her to be, which is also heartbreaking in a psychological standpoint. But I think the obsession that society created with her, has made it so that she can't move on, or that her energy has left residual stains in places.
Yeah, because that's another thing we've talked about. And actually, interestingly enough, I was working an HR job a few years ago, and another HR practitioner that was my coworker, she was super into all of the spiritual healing and energetic. She was very in tune, and I don't think she would call herself a psychic medium, but she really was. And one of the things she did was she was working with a local therapist, and some of the therapists, really tough clients who couldn't get over certain trauma or get to the piece that was hurting them most. My coworker, in her spare time, would astral project and find the piece of this person's soul that had chipped off and help bring it back to that person so that they could better work through it in therapy. And it was just this whole thing where it's almost like shadow work, but meeting
it's literal shadow work.
Yeah, literal shadow work. So I think that's been a conversation that Sabrina and I have had in the recent year or two, where it's are hauntings always just an active manifestation of an actual person? When people see Marilyn Monroe, are they seeing Marilyn Monroe, or are they seeing a piece of her that was chipped off at a traumatic period of her time, that now there's this residual stain of her and something she experienced that is festering here, but it's not actually her?
Right. I mean, that's a good question. I don't obviously have the answer to that question, but I think it's a possibility. What I've thought sometimes, that old saying, and I don't remember exactly how it goes, but essentially like you create your own reality. I have thought before, if there are times where we it's not that they're not real, but we're manifesting, creating them ourselves. The idea of what was that we were talking about with Jan the other day? I don't even know. But it was this idea of kids when they're young, they create poltergeists is what it was. I think it was women. There's that theory that, poltergeists are actually manifestations of energy and all this stuff from
puberty.
Young women.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And they're able to kind of create these things. And I don't know that that's true. I don't know enough about them to
I
really
do wish
garner.
That was the PMS type of symptoms that I got, rather than the normal moodiness, cramps. I'd rather a poltergeist spring out.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a ghoul.
I think everybody should have their own poltergeist, but I wonder sometimes if that's what's happening too. It's not that you're thinking about Marilyn Monroe in that moment, but somehow there's something going on in your brain where you see that. You know what I mean? Holy crap, there's Marilyn Monroe, or Elvis at the gas station eating a hot dog, or whatever it might be. You see these things, and I don't know the answer to that, but that's part of the fun with doing all this stuff. It's it's a journey that I
do think the one thing that I'm drawn to when it comes to celebrity ghost stories is kind of going back to the Post Malone thing, is the celebrities that normalize the existence of the paranormal. I ran into Sophia Bush at the South by Southwest, and she was like, oh my gosh, when we were on the set of One Tree Hill, there were ghosts. We lived in a haunted place. And I was like, I never would have known that about Sophia Bush, but she believes in ghosts. And Kesha, who has alluded to the fact that she's had sex with a ghost. Like, there's stories like that I love. And I love that they're coming from people who are in the public eye, who are making it feel more normal.
And even before their era, I remember the very first time I had ever heard a celebrity talk about the paranormal was actually Victoria Beckham. Like when she was Posh Spice, there was a whole article in a magazine about her haunted home and how like chaotic the energy was there. And it's such a like distinct memory in my adolescent brain. And my mom remembers it and we like talk about it, but it's really hard now to find the information on it because it was back in like magazine days.
Day, yeah.
But yeah, it does. It made me I think I was like in middle school at that point, a middle schooler who was living in a haunted house who like already had a ton of shit going on, being like, why is this happening to me? And like, what is real? Be like, okay, my experiences are a little more valid because the Spice Girl is also haunted.
Oh,
so
Posh Spice.
All the cool people
is that the one that's married to the soccer player?
Yeah.
See, I know a little bit about celebrities. I'm good.
Beckham, last name.
There you go. Yeah, I do think that, for better or worse, these people that do have these bully pulpits, these big platforms, the more that they quit trying to hide who they really are. There's always this public perception of who a celebrity has to be, and you can't say this or you can't say that. And it is refreshing every once in a while to hear one say something like, yeah, I believe in ghosts, or, I saw a Bigfoot. Like I remember, I think it was Rob Lowe. He's an actor, right? Yeah, Rob Lowe. Like I remember he was on a late night TV show and he was like, I saw a Bigfoot, and the crowd laughed. Like, ha, ha, ha.
I have never heard this story.
Yeah, I swear to God, it's on. You can go look at it. And I think it's Rob Lowe. There was an actor, I think is Rob Lowe, on a late night TV show who was like, I saw a Bigfoot, or I had a Bigfoot encounter, and everybody laughed at him.
I love this.
But for me, it was like, fucking right, man. Like, because I think that I've seen a Bigfoot, and I definitely believe in ghosts, like all these weird things. The UFO thing, I'm still not quite there. But
well, I need to know about your Bigfoot experience. I feel like you can't just like say that and not share.
So a couple episodes, I shared the whole thing. I was interviewing Matt Moneymaker. I don't know if you know Matt from Finding Bigfoot. Really cool guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have a couple Bigfoot stories, but the one that really kind of broke my brain was I was driving down 95. I was living in Savannah, Georgia at the time, and I was going back and forth from Pennsylvania. It was about 2-3 in the morning on 95. I had just crossed into North Carolina from Virginia. And it was one of those sections of the highway where the median was really wide. It was almost like a mini forest in there. And as I'm coming around to bend, off in the distance, I see this like big shadow thing. It didn't even look like a person or anything. It just looked like a big shadow. It just, whoop, went like this. So as I got close to it, I started slowing down because I was like, I wonder what the hell that is. And as I'm approaching to where I saw this thing, all of a sudden, like all I saw, there's a guardrail on the inside. All I saw was like from here up, oh shit, hitting the mic, like half the forearm and the hands, but it was like gripping the guardrail and like bending down like in the ditch behind it, almost like it was like hanging on to the guardrail for like support or something. All I saw were like the halfway from the forearm up. But now keep in mind, I'm in the driver's seat of the car. That guardrail is only 6 feet away from me. I saw fingernails. Like I saw like fingernails, and there was like, the hand was kind of bare. It was like reddish brown fur. And now, as somebody who's been interested in the Bigfoot phenomena all his life, what was bizarre to me, it literally took me, it was not an instant thing. I did not instantly be like, holy shit, that was a Bigfoot.
Right.
Like it literally broke my brain. Like I was probably 10, 15 miles down the road or something like that before I was like, holy shit, that might've been a Bigfoot. Like, and then I called my mom at 3 a.m. and she's like, you're too tired. You're hallucinating. Go to bed. I'm like, Mom, I know what I saw. But that's the Bigfoot story where I want to be very careful, and I don't want to say that it was a Bigfoot, but it's one of those situations of, it wasn't a Bigfoot, what the hell is this? Like it had fingernails.
Right. Well, that's the thing. We have to give names to the things that we don't understand just to at least attempt to
ground it in something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were very interested in that Bigfoot story. So are you like a Bigfoot person too? Are you a believer or a...
Oh, I 100% believe in Bigfoot.
Well, you guys are in a great place for it up there in New England. There's a lot of, especially Massachusetts, once you get up in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, there's a lot of Bigfoot up in there.
Okay. Well, I need to obviously do some Bigfoot hunting. I know that like down in the Hockomock Swamp area, if the Bridgewater Triangle, there's said to be some Bigfoots, but I also grew up in Vermont and I never encountered a Bigfoot. My parents now live in Maine in a very wooded area, so maybe they will. But I will say I did have my dad and I encountered Champ, the lake monster in Vermont. And it was actually, I would 10 out of 10, don't recommend. It was the most terrifying experience because we truly thought we might be eaten.
So, all right. So what did you see?
Okay.
Tell me this story.
We were tubing on the back of my parents' boat. My mom was driving, my brother's in the back spotting. My dad and I are holding onto the tube. It's like a boomerang shape. So there's 3 slots. We have both sides of the boomerang. Middle's empty. Like the in between where the land was and my side of the tube, there is like probably about this thick, a black thing that comes up and starts riding the wave. But it didn't seem like a snake. One, because of just like the actual diameter of it, which was, like if I had to guess how big Champ was, I would have been like, he's like this big. But it was like probably like this wide, like maybe like 10 inches in diameter, riding the wave. But there were multiple humps visible. So like 2 or 3 of them came out. And it wasn't swimming
like a snake,
like back and forth like a snake or like a fish. It was like, dolphin style going up and down. So we have no idea based on, I guess, just like what we know of animal life in lakes, what this could have been other than blaming it on being the lake monster. But like both me and my dad were freaking out. My dad is a hunter. Like he has seen a lot of shit. It's hard to rattle him. And we are both white knuckling it, like not saying anything. I remember him saying, whatever you do, don't let go. So like he was actually truly scared in that moment too.
Is the punchline here going to be, this is another penis?
I mean, it could be Champ's. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was Champ's thing. He was just, surfacing, and I caught him at a bad time. No, but I say it's Champ. I don't know if it was Champ, but I don't know what it was if it wasn't Champ.
Lake monsters are the ones that I really want them to be true, because when I was a little kid, I was super into dinosaurs. Like I have like dinosaur tattoos and stuff. Like I still love dinosaurs. And, the Loch Ness Monster is what got me into this whole the weird part of the world, right? Cryptozoology, which led to ghosts, which led to, all this other stuff we have going on. And I really want them to be real. So I'm not, but at the same time, they're the ones that I kind of have the most hard time believing that are real. You know what I mean? Like really, there's a dinosaur living in Scotland. Like, come on. But I want it to be true.
Maybe
so bad.
Like at such great depths. And honestly, it would make sense if we look at Lake Champlain and then Scotland, because like what existed back in the day when Pangea was here, it was just like one mountain range that was then split, and now it's the Appalachian Mountains, which touch Vermont and the Scottish Highlands. Hello, 2 lake monsters that shared the same mountain range back in the day.
Hearing stories like yours gives me hope. I guess that's what I'm getting at. I'm like, oh God, maybe they are real, because I really want them I just want to be friends with them. I want to, be able to go out and, swim with my lake monster.
Swim with them.
That's how Corinne is with Bigfoot. And that's how I am with aliens.
Aliens, I don't know about that one. The Bigfoot one, I'm totally on board with. So like in a week, I think it's 2 weeks, actually, I'm going out to Washington State for 2 weeks. And part of what I'm doing out there is actually going to look for Bigfoot.
Stop.
Yeah, I think we're going to be going to the Bigfoot Museum there in Oregon. There's a guy, once again, on that Finding Bigfoot show, Cliff Barrickman. And I think we're going to be interviewing him in his museum. I think we're going to be able to pull this off. And I'm totally going to weasel him into be like, all right, man, now let's go spend the night looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You have to.
Well, it's just so wild how much evidence just exists up there. Like, I feel like when you go to museums, there's like, oh, here's the like infamous foot castings. But then you'll just like be talking to someone and they're like, oh yeah, my like uncle finds prints all the time when he goes out hunting or whatever. And you're like, wait, what? And then they have all of this photo evidence from their uncle. And you're like, how does this just exist with so many different people encountering all of this evidence? And yet the evidence isn't just public, which I guess we could say, Tim, you're guilty of this too, sitting on so much evidence from all of your ghost hunts that it's not public.
I am guilty.
But it's like, how have we not like befriended them yet?
Yeah. Well, I think with a lot of it just comes back to, people don't want to be made fun of, and And if we start looking at, and that's why I brought up Rob Lowe, you know, you're talking about this idea of, you know, celebrities empowering other people, or at least letting, you know, showing the public like, yeah, it is okay to believe in these things. I mean, maybe not Kesha. That story's too crazy.
I love any like intimacy with ghost stories. I think they're amazing. And why not?
I'm seeing a pattern with you. Anyways, totally fucking with you, kidding. But
no,
you know,
I walked into that one.
It's Sabrina's fanfic. It's fucking aliens.
She backed up into it. But no, you know, when I was like, because I've been the Pacific Northwest a couple of times, and you know, every time I went, you know, even though I might have other things on my agenda, I want to spend some time in the woods. You know, that's kind of like my reset place, right? And every single person I talk to up there, like you know, the woods people, right? You know, you go to like some old general store back in the woods, and you know, there's every single person has an encounter. Every single person knows, like, and actually the one guy told me, he's like, yeah, they're here, but I'm not going to tell you where they are. Leave them alone. Like every single person. The problem is, you know, one, they don't want to talk about it. Two, the TV shows and stuff, with few exceptions, like there were a couple good shows, you know, like the Finding Bigfoot one I've referenced a couple of times, but most of those shows, they just go out and find meth heads. You know, the people that are, you know, I saw Bigfoot, he took my carrots and he took the pie off my windowsill and tried to kidnap my sister. You know what I mean? Like they get those people on those TV shows and they do it with ghost shows.
Well, because reality TV, like the producers want something and then they find the people who are going to fill in that story.
Because I think that applies to like all categories beyond Bigfoot, but like the paranormal shows too, I feel like care more about shocking viewers or like leaving you on the edge of your seat, that they fabricate evidence or like storylines for entertainment, which then gives the paranormal world a little bit of a bad name. Because it's like,
when it's also like you're spending your resources and wasting your time on like the showbiz part, where like you might actually find something really freaking cool and find some like real answers if you just like let the story play, if you just let your investigation go naturally.
Right. Yeah. And then the public sees those people, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I had a ghost encounter or maybe a UFO or Bigfoot. I don't want to be known as one of those people. I'm keeping my mouth shut. You know what I mean? It's just this whole circle where, you know, if more people would speak out about the encounters they have, whether it's with Bigfoot or Champ, you know, maybe more people, you know, that's the snowflake that gets the snowball rolling down the hill, right? You know, somebody has to do it. It's not going to be me. Kidding.
Well, I do think that's something that I love about our podcast and like the community we've created is it's very, or I say we created, but truly like the community itself has created itself, but it is a very, very supportive, open-minded community where no one's like bashing anyone for their experiences. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's wild, and very open to believing other people.
No, that's a great, you know, attitude to foster. But sometimes I see that get taken too far, where it's like they'll put up garbage and everybody's like, that's great. I'm like, that's crap. This whole, they had this movement a couple of years ago. It was called like Paranormal Unity, I think it was, where it's like everybody has to accept everybody for everything. And I'm like, that's some bullshit, because there's some idiots out there too. But anyways, I love the idiots too, if they buy tickets for my tours. Come and join us on a ghost hunt.
Wait, okay.
I'm an idiot.
I'm curious, of all the cities that you do offer tours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What city is like the most like fun ghosts, like that are like more playful? And then what's like the city that has a really like scary assortment of stories?
I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that question before. So fun. I mean, come on. Like I would have to say New Orleans. Like, I mean, you saw it. You got a dick in your fucking picture. Like, yeah, I would, you know, and here in New Orleans, like a lot of the ghost stories, you know, and kind of goes back to that idea of like, are we actually creating these ghosts as we go along? You know, you'll hear ghost stories all the time about, you know, this ghost is known for partying. You know, he likes to go and join dinner parties, and this ghost over here, you know, does these fun activities. I mean, do you know how many ghosts are in strip clubs down here? A lot. Like, yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know that it's because, you know, they're strip clubs. It's, you know, these are in old historic buildings that happen to be strip clubs now. But I mean, I could write a book about ghosts and strip clubs in New Orleans. I mean, you could do a whole podcast series on it.
Damn. Oh my
Damn.
gosh. That's like a place that you don't always think about it happening. Though I guess we've heard a few stories from people who've worked.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a ghost, I don't know that I'd spend all my time there.
Places.
But, it's known to happen. I mean, scary ghosts, that's a good one. Scary ghosts. Where are the scary ghosts? I don't know.
If not in New Orleans, then where?
Yeah. I mean,
it's tough because a lot of these big cities do have stories of tragedy. I think of Galveston, Texas, which has a lot of really tragic deaths that have led to a lot of hauntings. But yeah, I'm curious if there's a place that kind of seeps evil. Yeah.
Charleston.
Well, Corinne went to the old Charleston jail and had a lot of encounters.
Yeah. I was shocked. I went mid-afternoon and experienced so much.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that your answer was Charleston, because one thing that shocked me when I went to Charleston was just how small the city is. It's so walkable. You can explore the whole thing in one day. But if you have 3 days there, oh my God, the opportunity to see what feels like everything, even though I know it's not everything. I feel like this is a good place for people who are seeking out the paranormal and want to maybe experience something scary, while also being in a lovely place to dine and get oysters and drink wine.
Look at pretty architecture.
Yeah, take pictures in front of pink buildings. They can just go there. It's such an easy place to pop in. And I will say, I feel like Boston is the same, where it's a super small, walkable city where you can see so much history, hauntings, just everything all in one spot. And I feel like that is also part of the draw to Boston in October, going to Boston and Salem.
Yeah.
They're more accessible.
I mean, the small city vibe I love. I don't like going to big cities like, New York and, all that kind of crap. I prefer those smaller cities. Have you guys ever been to Savannah?
Sabrina has.
I have. Yeah.
It's been on my bucket list forever.
I went last fall.
Yeah, Sabrina had an opportunity to go have a little trip without me.
Corinne, what are you waiting for?
It's on our list. I was like, I'm going to do a ghost tour, but I'm not going to do any investigation because I want to save that for you and I.
I have a 1-year-old, so.
Oh, that is an impediment sometimes to doing fun things.
Yeah, I can't really leave right now.
But eventually,
the best kind
we'll
of
go
impediment,
together.
by the way. No, yeah, Savannah's beautiful. I mean, you were talking about the walkability of Charleston. Savannah's the same way. Savannah is probably smaller, actually. I think you can walk from one side of the Savannah to the other, the historic district, maybe 15, 20 minutes at most. And there's just so much that goes on there. Savannah actually also has a number of, unfriendly ghosts. I think it's just, it's probably also that they're in the South. I don't care what anybody says. There is no such that friendly Southerner cliche. People are more friendly in the South. No, they're not.
Well, if the people are more friendly, the cryptids and the ghosts are less.
True.
So maybe it balances out, because I feel like the amount of stories we get from like Virginia and Kentucky, and it's just like there are some creatures in the woods I would never want to encounter.
Appalachia. It's like you don't know what's lurking, and sometimes it's best to not ask questions.
No, Appalachia is a crazy. Like I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, like about an hour east of Pittsburgh. So like I grew up in they call it the Chestnut Ridge, the part of the Appalachians there. And I remember even growing up, the folklore and the story, like you know, the whole don't go out in the woods at night and whistle, you know, that thing, like that was like our life growing up. It was a lot of fun though. Never encountered anything spooky in the woods, just game wardens. They were like, what are you doing out here?
No wonder you're in the business that you're in. I feel like your whole life there's been spookiness around you.
I mean, maybe. I think I'm in the business that I'm in I mean, I've definitely had a lifelong interest in it. And, you know, for me, I actually feel incredibly fortunate to be able to have this company. I mean, not only because, you know, I'm grateful for the company and the people that I've met over the years, and, you know, I love money, you know, all those things. I mean, but, you know, this really has been like everything that I've been good at in life really came together for this company. Because before I started Ghost City Tours, you know, I started my first company when I was 19 years old. I haven't had a real job since I was 19. And, you know, I was a marketing web design guy. And then I taught myself how to build software. And that's really what I'm known for now. I'm a full stack software engineer. But combine that with the ghosts and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I have a company now where we run 650,000 people a year on our tours, because I spent all those years marketing and I love the spooky stuff. And it really just kind of came together in like this perfect, you know, storm. And honestly, it sounds like you guys are somewhere in that journey too. You know, this idea of,
and it's so cool to be able to, like, you know, have built these businesses that now we get to have a conversation and connect and hear your stories of the paranormal. And the fact that we just literally get to sit down and talk about ghosts as a job is the coolest thing in the world. And like, I don't think that will ever lose its excitement for me. And then we get to talk to you and potentially go to some haunted places and team up with you and work for you.
well, I think that we should do that.
I do too.
Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, and by the way, if this
We're not either.
Okay. Cause I was gonna say, if like you get off air and then you send Chris or me an email and you're like, haha, fuck you. We were just kidding. I'll be like, okay, I get it. It was totally just for show. I get that. But no, I'm actually being very serious. You know, we have a couple ghost hunts lined up already, and they're not in the Northeast as you think about it, but you know, for me living right outside of New Orleans, they're up there. So we got a couple in Pennsylvania, and we're slowly starting to work our way up there. But like I said, if you guys have a place, you know, up there, Boston, Salem, that Ghost City can, you know, kind of fund a rental for a couple nights.
We'll send you our list.
Yeah, we will.
We should totally do this, because then we can, you know, because Chris has been wanting to do more events. So we can, you know, send our film crew up, because we have a whole production studio here. Like, you guys just see me in like this little corner here, but we're actually in a whole building that it's all production studios and stuff for like our future plans. We have film crews. We'll send everybody up, turn it into like a big event. Paul has 2 kids, so he's lucky he's like, I want to get
we will truly email after this with our list of places. My brain's already
I know, I'm
thinking
going through
about
my mind
business
too, being
opportunities
like,
here.
well, there's small places and there's medium size and there's large. There's a few that, you'll have to let us know what you're looking for, and then we'll be the matchmaker.
Sounds good. Well, I don't know. I've already kept you guys like an hour and 20 minutes. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, has it already been that?
I have to pee, so.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. But I really do want to dig into the whole celebrity ghost story thing at some point. I know that there's a lot of interest out there, and honestly, this was one of the more fun podcasts I've had for a while. Hopefully you guys can.
You're welcome.
Say the same, like maybe. But yeah, we should come back and do this again some other time, or maybe I'll pop over on your guys' podcast or something. We could talk about, you know, ghost hunting or whatever you guys want, whatever you guys want to do. But I definitely, let's try to do some fun things together.
This was so fun. It was so nice to meet you.
Hopefully it stays that way. I'm actually not a bad guy. I'm just kidding. No, it was actually really nice to meet you both as well. Now, if people wanted to, learn more about you or your podcast or what you do, and I know they'll have to type it in very carefully, but where can they find more out about you and what you guys have going on?
Yeah. We are 2 girls, 1 ghost, kind of everywhere, spelt out TWO, girls, 1 ONE.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to spell.
We're on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're also there.
We put out 2 episodes a week.
Plus
more
bonus.
than that if you include all the just random bonuses and projects we do
put
along
out
the
2
way.
episodes a week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, did you hear that? They're putting out 2 episodes a week. What are we doing?
It's more like 3 or 4 if you count our Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we're also like running.
I'm telling you, you have all this evidence. You have episodes waiting to happen.
Oh my God, woman. You're right, and maybe we'll do that at some point. It's like
we will be waiting and watching for that to happen.
Putting pressure on me. All right. Well, what we'll do is, let's talk after the podcast. We'll exchange a couple emails, see if we can get something fun going on between 2. I almost said it again. 2 girls and a ghost. And what Ghost City Tours? That's who we are. Yeah, 2 girls and a ghost and Ghost City. No, it just threw me for a loop because that whole metaphor thing where you got Anyways,
and see, now you won't forget.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I really do appreciate the both of you joining us. I'm sorry I kept you guys a little bit longer than we said we would, and I'm sorry that I totally did not listen to the whatever we call it, the outline.
We talked about it briefly,
Yeah.
We had fun. We did our own thing.
We very rarely keep on script. This was actually exactly what we planned, so.
Oh, good. I'm glad that I was able to
This is perfect.
meet your expectations.
Gold sticker for you, Tim.
Yay. All right. Well,
Thank
you both very much. Sabrina and Corinne, 2 girls and a ghost. Everybody go check them out. YouTube, I'm assuming Spotify, all that good stuff too.
Yep. All of that.
Yay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I almost said girls. Jesus Christ. Thank you, ladies, very much.
Well, we're girls.
We are girls in the title of our podcast.
One ghost.
Yeah, that's true.
Ladies feel so weird. I get it. I get why, but I don't know. Lady feels like
Thanks, ma'ams.
I'm an old lady in white, like ghost,
Women, girls, ladies,
ghouls,
gals. I don't even know anymore. I feel like half those words offend half the world now, so I'm just going to shut my mouth. But
well, thanks for having us.
All right. Until next time, you guys have a good day.
This episode was brought to you by Ghost City Tours, your guide to the haunted side of history in over 25 cities nationwide. From restless spirits to unsolved mysteries, our tours bring the dead back to life. Book now for a haunted city near you at ghostcitytours.com.